What the... Well, time to take advantage of this boost. Hello everybody, I'm KC and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About. Today, let's talk about Season 3 of Ducktales. Now, I do have a couple more reviews planned for Season 2, but those are bigger and are going to take more time. And with some of the very interesting adventures that the third season of Ducktales has given us so far, I think we've got time for a less elaborate look at one of them while I work on bigger projects. Plus, the last Ducktales video got a crazy amount of views. Seriously, that was unbelievable to see. Thank you all so much for checking it out, the lovely comments, and welcome to the newcomers. So with all that in mind, which episode of Season 3 has enough fun and substance to fill about 10 minutes of discussion? We have a winner. Let's talk about Quack Pack. In our latest adventure with the Duck family, it looks like there is no adventure. Finding the entire group drops into a sitcom. Studio audience, trendier outfits and all. Of course there's something going on behind the curtain, and it's up to the gang to figure out what happened and how to get out or be stuck in this syndicated situation forever. So, this is both an unusual one and not unusual at all. Shows taking a break from their typical format to experiment is nothing new, whether it's just to goof off and play with how characters would deal with a genre change for an outing, or to genuinely move the story forward. That's basically the entire reason musical episodes exist. Note to self. Consider series talking about musical episodes. One of the reasons to do an episode like this is to experiment with how the characters would fit into a different environment or genre. Given that this is one of the very few episodes with the entire family in the adventure, we get a taste of how everyone fits into the sitcom style. Beakley denying she's a spy when it's super obvious, Della's time on the moon, and Webby's more extreme characteristics are played for laughs, as if it's the one joke that revolves around their characters, which is true of a lot of sitcom characters, having all the jokes around them hinge on one major personality trait. They do this a bit with Scrooge being cheap too, but not nearly as much as the other examples. That's why character development wasn't super common, because then you might lose your easy jokes. Louie's scheming, sarcastic nature fits in unsurprisingly well in this format. Every show like this has to have a character in the side rolling their eyes at the shenanigans. It's just a shame they couldn't incorporate a get-rich-quick scheme. But the triplet who truly thrives in this setting is Dewey. Who'd have guessed the kid who's always seeking attention, cracking jokes, and spouting catchphrases would thrive in a sitcom? Also, his feathers are getting dangerously close to John Ralphio height here.
The world!
Am I forgetting any changes?
Well, everything seems perfectly normal to me.
Yeah, you're right, probably not. They not only have fun with planting the characters we know and love into this new setting, but they go all out with the setting itself, redesigning all the characters, some of which bear more of a resemblance to their 80s counterparts, even if Scrooge's is basically just a palette swap.
Why? What's wrong with Blue?
Adding a laugh track like it's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, and my personal favorite touch on an artistic level, redesigning every single background set to fit the set design of a sitcom, with 3 walls and all the furniture facing the audience. The writing also plays on sitcom tropes, especially from family-friendly TGIF-style sitcoms from the 80s and 90s, playing with the low stakes and repetitive storylines, pausing in the dialogue to smirk and roll eyes as the laughter from jokes play on, and mugging. Lots of mugging. That is very much a TGIF and early Disney Channel sitcom relic. Speaking of Disney Channel jokes, I really got a kick out of this callback to the wand bumpers. I really missed those. I'm glad they're making a comeback. The parody that plays out is very true and funny in both its fangs and its hugs. By that I mean that the people involved with this show clearly grew up with a lot of shows like this. I know I did and still watch quite a few of them. But most of the episode is also taking the piss out of the tropes and awkwardness that can come from shows like this, that when you take the nostalgia goggles off, can make some of them unwatchable, especially from the time the Disney Afternoon was going on. While the sitcom style is far from dead, it's not nearly as dominant as it was 20 years ago. Although I'm willing to bet you right now that in 10 years or so, a few of the innovative shows of the time will have episodes poking fun at stuff like the mockumentary style, and have characters exposit and joke right at the camera. Some are even doing that already. But anyway, this episode has a ton of fun parodying the datedness of this environment the characters find themselves in, going at it even harder when Huey starts realizing something is wrong. It makes this one of the funniest episodes in a while, to the point that if I played all the jokes that worked, I might as well just play the episode. Really, Quack Pack could have just been a genre-swapped romp, and we could have just had a fun filler episode, but it becomes very clear that something happened, that we're still in the show's proper universe, and something, or someone, changed it. But who?
The name's Gene!
Hey, an actual genie this time. Nice. Now, I like Gene the Genie. He's cool and funny and all, but I don't have much to say about him beyond that, especially considering I know nothing, and I mean more nothing than usual, about his movie counterpart. Only major things of note to me are that he seems to have developed personality traits from the other Disney Genie.
Probably at least 3 seasons, plus spin-offs, and I assume they'll reboot the show eventually.
Oh, I love a good show. What are we gonna see?
And he's voiced by Jaleel White, and that is way past cool. Alright, so a genie did this. Okay, that clears some stuff up, but genies don't do things by themselves usually, unless you're this guy. So who made the wish that caused all this?
Donald!
Ah, fool.
Watching this episode again, I realized there were hints in Donald's behavior that he knew what was going on the entire time, but really, the biggest clue should have been that Donald Cheadle was back. Funny thing is, I wrote this whole post about how I was somewhat hoping this episode would end up being about a villain trapping Scrooge and the family in a perfect world without major threats. Kinda like Batman the Animated Series' Perchance to Dream, and the dozen other shows that have done this, while fully expecting to be completely proven wrong. And I was sort of right. I just got the character and motivation wrong, but other than that, I was spot on. Even if I was off the mark, I am so glad they decided to do something deeper with this premise. Episodes that play with a different style can be fun on their own, but the best episodes that jump into a new environment than what you expect from the show, to me, are the ones that use those shifts in tone and genre to look at their characters in a deeper way. In this case, it's Donald, which makes a lot of sense when you give it even just a passing thought. All Donald wants is for his family to be safe and together. Even if he did this by accident, Donald wanting to live in a world with simple problems, where no one gets hurt for more than an episode and there are no long-term consequences, makes perfect sense after everything that's happened to him and his family. But while Donald is persistent in staying in this world, he does eventually see that this really isn't what's best for his family, thanks to another guest appearance that you guys have probably been sitting there waiting for me to mention.
Hiya, neighbor.
Hiya, Goofy. The most exciting thing going into Season 3 was the announcement of several more guest characters from the Disney afternoon, and the first is, of course, Goofy, who was a great choice for this episode. I know the title is from the show Quack Pack, that I've never seen, but no one seems to like, but to me, it feels more like an episode of Goof Troop, which I actually did watch back in the day. Goofy even has his Goof Troop design here. What's even better is that Goofy's not just a fun cameo, he gets to be essential to the most important scene in the episode. When Donald laments that his family won't join him and stay in this world, Goofy tries to be supportive, but also helps him see reason, displaying with his relationship through Max that every family has their own version of normal. And what makes it loving is that they embrace that and the memories they create together. Goofy is so perfect for the story. In a way, him and Donald are kind of in the same boat, having raised some energetic and troublemaking kids all by themselves, but still developing loving connections in between all the cartoon hijinks. And Bill Farmer's voice work is silly, but delightfully sincere as always. On the whole, it's a really sweet moment and the high point of the episode for me. Also, yes, the callbacks and cameos in Goofy's photos are appreciated. The one that really made me smile was Roxanne. Coincidentally, a Goofy movie celebrated its 25th anniversary the week this episode aired. But back downstairs, things got real weird real quick. As Donald's wish fights to preserve itself against the fam's resistance in pretty disturbing ways, to the point that the studio audience attacks the Ducks, a TV show's worst nightmare: dissatisfied fans. You know, I'm glad they made humans in the DuckTales universe look as weird as it feels. This final fight is nuts. But my standout moments were giving Launchpad the more than one day on the same night plotline, calling back to his very strange history with romance, the female characters fighting back against these ones who solely exist to be love interests that might be a bit too on the nose for some, but for me it was effective with how great the female characters on DuckTales are. Donald going berserk to save his family, that's always a plus, the Avenger-style rotating shot, and when Goofy did the thing. You know the one. But all of that does get resolved, everything goes back to normal, well, normal for this group anyway, and the episode ends with Donald using his last wish to get a great family photo of their fight against the flesh monsters, something that perfectly encapsulates the spirit of this family. Overall, Quack Pack is kind of insane. As you can probably tell, there were points where I was having a bit of trouble really breaking down this one, which usually means I would skip it even if I liked it. But with Quack Pack, all the elements are so well implemented that I felt it was worth showcasing. Using this parody to lift the nostalgic veil on the sitcom format in a way that's not overly hateful, having too many standout, somewhat ridiculous jokes for me to point out here, Goofy's inclusion being absolutely perfect, and I hope it's not the last we've seen of him, but if it is, it was a great guest spot, and like most of the best episodes of the show, it uses its mystical circumstances to explore one of the characters. It's pretty rare that the conflict is first and foremost Donald's, and the lesson is his to learn. But the approach this episode takes of making his intentions well-meaning, but still kind of selfish, turning his family into something they're not, but learning to accept them for what they are, is a perfect one for how he's portrayed on the show. While Quack Pack may be kind of an off-the-wall episode, at its core, it conveys what makes the Duck family so special and so caring. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.